What is happening next in the real estate market as it relates to not just Bend and Central Oregon, but nationally? There is a lot of news going on in the national media that suggests we are about to see a shift in the market. Is that going to happen? Are we already experiencing that? Maybe. It's really hard to say. I mean, real estate tends to move a little slower than other markets, but what we can do is just kind of keep our finger on the pulse of the market. Right now, it seems like it's pretty lopsided, right? Is that fair to say? I mean, there's plenty of people that have been kind of dipping their toes in the market right now, so they get a feel for what's going on. But there's also a lot of people that are gearing up for some sort of transaction, and they're not exactly up to speed with what's going on. We're certainly not in the market that we were in 4 or 5 years ago. Now, that was such a different, lopsided market. Today, it's completely different, but it's still got some similarity. Right now, we have a discrepancy of sellers versus buyers. There's 509,000 more sellers nationally than there are buyers right now, which is a 36% discrepancy. It's crazy. Kind of like the way it was about 5 years ago, but from the opposite perspective, right? We had way more buyers than we had sellers. You could list your home 5 years ago and it could be, peeling paint on the outside. There could be dirty dishes in the sink. There could be just cat hair, dog hair everywhere in the home. And you'd probably get multiple offers over the weekend the first time you listed it. Obviously, that's not the case now. You need to have your house, your home in pristine condition if you're getting ready to list, because the only people walking through that door are those bona fide buyers that are just qualified. And they're looking, and if they're looking right now in this market, it means they are serious about getting a transaction done. So make sure that your house is show ready. Now, 5 years ago, obviously a very different time. A lot of people that were buyers, they got flushed out of the market. And those that did survive and ended up closing on a deal, a lot of them, it became kind of a personal game against those other competing buyers. And they ended up with a home that, just a short amount of time living in it, they realized, you know what, this is not the right house for me. I don't know if I want to live here, because they got so caught up in the moment of, we got to get something, just got to get something. And they ended up buying something, and then just a short amount of time living in there, they realized this is not the right house, because they had no time to think about it. And now, they're in a pretty good position, right? If they were a first-time home buyer back then, they probably love real estate. You know why? Because they ended up buying a home at a very favorable interest rate, and now they have maybe 6 figures of equity in just 5 years, maybe double the value of what they purchased it for. That's happening a lot in Bend, but there's a lot of clients that are kind of coming out of the woodwork right now. They bought their home just a couple years ago, and they have realized this is not the right fit for us. We want to buy something else right now. We need to buy something else right now. And they're coming into the market with their equity, but they're also being very shrewd and savvy when it comes to how they present themselves going into the market to prepare for their next transaction. They realize that the market has shifted. It just takes a little bit of education, but they've got the equity they want to roll in. Rates are starting to trickle down just a little bit. I mean, we've had the lowest interest rates in about 10 months. In the last 2 weeks, 6.5%, just over 6.5%. And so we're sitting in a position now where there's more applications for mortgages right now than we've had in probably a year, maybe a little over a year. So the market is starting to heat up with regard to buyers. They are looking, and sellers are probably really excited about that, because there's some sellers, frankly, that are getting really exhausted. And the savvy buyers agents, they're going out there and they're kind of lowballing offers, because they know that sellers are emotional too. And they need to sell. Some don't necessarily need to sell, but those that do need to sell, there's always people that need to transact real estate, whether it's for moving somewhere else for a job or downsizing or for whatever reason. And so those sellers are in that predicament where they have to kind of cast their emotions aside and try to be as logical as they can. Other sellers that have a nice home and tons of equity in their home, if they're not getting their number, it's like, okay, take a hike, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, and we'll just see you on the next swing in the market, because we don't need to sell. We'd like to sell. We got plenty of equity, but we don't need to do it. But a lot of buyers are probably exhausting sellers now at this stage. And so as a result, there's a lot of sellers that are taking their homes off the market. See a lot of cancellations, a lot of withdrawals. We see a lot of price cuts too as a result right now, because like I said a second ago, there's plenty of people that still need to sell their home. And those that need to are going to be a little bit more prone to taking a reduction in price. If you're a buyer, That's the key right now. You just got to figure out which homes those are, because you have the luxury of being patient for the right home. So you can go look at a dozen homes, find 2 or 3 that you could see yourself living in, and then you can be patient in regard to that and just wait for the right opportunity to pounce. You can make an offer. Maybe you get a counter offer. Maybe you make an offer at 90% of the asking price. And instead of getting just shown the door 4 years ago, 5 years ago, now you're in a conversation where there's opportunity. And that's what's unique about this particular stage of the market. So there was actually a pretty interesting listing a couple days ago. I showed it to a client. And this gentleman, the listing agent, was very, very savvy. It's a very, very desirable part of town near the river. It's on little over a quarter acre of a lot, which is very rare for this particular section of town. It's probably worth $800,000, and he listed it for $750,000. So instead of this market where there's fewer buyers, he had literally, on the weekend he opened it up, he had 24 showings, because he listed it slightly below where it probably should be. 24 showings, 6 offers in a weekend. And he told me that the offer that they accepted was substantially higher than the second best offer. So what an interesting way to approach this market right now, where you have homes that are sitting and just dying, getting stale, and just sitting on the market because these sellers are just sipping that 2021 Kool-Aid, and they still think, okay, it's Bend, we can list it for whatever we want. Somebody from out of town is going to come buy it. No, it just doesn't work that way. So what an interesting approach to ultimately getting probably the same number that they would have gotten if they would have just listed it for, say, $100,000 over its true value. So instead of waiting 90 days or 100 days from an original listing price of $925 for it to come down to, say, $825, I don't know what it's going to sell for, but let's just pretend. He listed it at $750 and just watched the offers stack upon each other to the point where the price was driven up. He's probably going to get that exact number, and he did it in 48 hours. So interesting approach, no doubt about it.
Hey, real quick, if this is your first time to the channel or it's your 50th, that doesn't matter to us. And you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the lifestyle in Bend and surrounding sunny Central Oregon, then subscribe to our channel, tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market happenings and lifestyle happenings here in Bend and Central Oregon. My name's Ryan, and I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. Zach and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you looking for help with their next transaction as it relates to real estate here in Bend and Central Oregon. So whether you're looking to make that transaction a possibility in the next 9 days or 90 days or even beyond that doesn't matter to us either. Give us a call or shoot us a text and we can set up a meeting if you're somewhere else. But if you're local, let's go get coffee somewhere and we can discuss your situation to figure out what the next course of action should be pertaining to your real estate situation. But it starts with you guys reaching out to us. So you can see our phone number right there. Give us a call or shoot us a text and we can arrange a time to chat further. Now, back to the video.
There's a lot of people that are looking to sell their home that sip that Kool-Aid, but they're also listening to the wrong agents. There's a lot of realtors in this town, 2,000 of us. That is a high volume for a county of 225,000 people. It's remarkable. And so think about that. The competition of trying to secure a listing is so immense that some listing agents, maybe they're just part-timers, they're not keeping up with the current state of the market, and they end up over-promising on something. And when they overpromise, everybody is unhappy. The sellers are not having their expectations met, the listing agent's not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, and homes tend to sit for a long time in that regard because Bend is a market where the buyers are still savvy. Of course they are, and they're gonna wait. And there's just a lot of those situations going on right now because certain people are trying to promise something, and ultimately speaking, it's the false promise that just ends in a situation where nobody's happy. So it's very important that you find the right agent when you're doing any type of transactional activity. Somebody who's in the trenches every single day, like Zach and myself. We understand the market, and we're trying to help our clients secure the best deal one way or the other, whether we're listing it or whether we're helping them purchase, because opportunities exist. They are everywhere, and this market is very interesting. It's still, transactions are still happening, but are we about to see a shift? So something to keep in mind. Now this neighborhood today, we're kind of zipping through Aubrey Park. Now this is a subdivision on Aubrey Butte. Now Aubrey Butte has dozens of subdivisions. There's over 1,000 home sites up here. This particular subdivision, about 100, maybe a little over 100 home sites, all dating back to say 2004, 2005, 2006, 0.25 acre, quarter acre, a little over a quarter acre, some go up to a half acre. And these homes, all craftsman style homes, custom builds, they're just fantastic. This neighborhood ambience is just spectacular. And so we had 8 sales in the last year in this particular subdivision. And so if you go back a year when they were first listed, or some of those that closed were first listed a year ago, we were looking at 1.5, 1.6 million. Today, the median sale price of all the homes that have sold in the last year here is 1.4, just over 1.4. So very interesting times. There are deals to be had everywhere if you know where to look. And that's what's interesting about this particular subdivision, as well as anywhere else in Bend or Central Oregon for that matter right now. There are people that are moving in here in droves. It's still happening. We get calls on a regular basis from people from all over the country, frankly. We're working with somebody from Hawaii right now, as well as somebody from South Carolina. So you can imagine that it's going to be a higher volume of transplants from, say, California or Seattle or Portland. But we're getting calls and reach outs from people all over the country. So that's something to keep in mind. People still want to be here. They're here in the summertime. They're testing out the Bend area. They want to know what it's like when it's 95 degrees, like right now in Bend, as opposed to, say, Florida or Georgia or somewhere where it's really humid. I mean, people are really dipping their toes in the water right now as a means of trying to figure out, is this the spot that we want to be long term? And when they're here in the summertime, frankly, of course, they're going to choose that. So we are very direct in saying that, hey, you're here in the best time of the year. You also need to understand what it's like in the wintertime. So that's our goal. I mean, we just want to help educate our clients in any way possible to help them make the proper decision the first time around. We do that most of the time. So it's a pleasure being able to speak on these videos to you guys, the audience. Again, this is Aubrey Park. 8 homes have sold. Median size is about 3,200. About 404 square foot right now is where we're sitting at in this particular subdivision over the last year. 3 homes are on the market right now, but you can tell that this subdivision is a little bit older, a little bit more established. You can always tell by the trees on the roads. You can see those trees up there, and they look like they're about 20 years old, right? We've got so many master plan developments in this town that are brand spanking new, and they're awesome, but they just feel a little vanilla right now because they haven't had a chance to mature. And so we talked about that with Northwest Crossing not too long ago. That is the OG when it comes to master plan developments in this town, and it's 25 years old, and it is spectacular. This little subdivision here, much smaller, but it's got some inklings, some indications of being similar to that. And we're up on the northeast slope of Aubrey Butte. And it's just a smaller, kind of sleepy little subdivision, but it's fantastic. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. My name's Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty. I'm so glad you guys are watching these videos. If it's your time to reach out, it starts with you. Call me, text me, set up that conversation, whether it's through the computer on a Zoom call, or if it's local here, we'll go get coffee somewhere at one of our favorite coffee shops to kind of give you a feel of what it's like to live here in Bend. Thanks for watching this video, and we will see you on the next one.